We often talk about fear in its grand, dramatic forms: the fear of public speaking, the fear of heights, the fear of failure. But what about the fears that don't scream, but whisper? The ones that don't paralyze us with terror, but subtly steer our decisions, dim our light, and keep us from living our fullest lives? These are the silent fears, the invisible chains that bind us without us even realizing it. They operate in the shadows of our subconscious, shaping our choices, our relationships, and our very sense of self. What if these quiet anxieties are the true architects of our limitations, preventing us from experiencing genuine freedom and peace? Let's uncover these 7 silent fears that are quietly controlling your life. From a Buddhist perspective, fear, at its root, is often a manifestation of dukkha, suffering, stemming from our attachment to impermanent things and our misunderstanding of reality. These silent fears are not external threats, but internal constructs, born from craving, aversion, and ignorance. They are the subtle ways our minds cling to comfort, control, and a fixed sense of self, resisting the inherent fluidity and uncertainty of existence. By unmasking these fears, we begin the process of liberation. This isn't about eliminating fear entirely, but about understanding its nature, observing its subtle influence, and choosing to respond with wisdom and compassion rather than reactivity. It's about shining the light of sati, mindfulness, on these hidden corners of our psyche. Let's delve into these 7 silent fears and explore how Buddhist principles can help us loosen their grip. 1. The fear of not being enough, the fear of inadequacy. This fear whispers that you are fundamentally flawed, that you lack what it takes to be loved, successful, or worthy. It drives endless striving, perfectionism, and people-pleasing, yet leaves you feeling perpetually empty. It's the fear that if others truly saw you, they would find you wanting. This fear is rooted in mana, conceit/pride, and asmamana, the conceit of I am. It keeps us trapped in a cycle of comparison and self-judgment. Buddhist teachings on anatta, non-self, help us dismantle this fear by revealing that there is no fixed, inherent self to be inadequate. When we understand that our self is a constantly changing collection of aggregates, the pressure to be enough dissolves. We learn to embrace our impermanence and interconnectedness, finding liberation in simply being rather than constantly proving. 2. The fear of abandonment, the fear of being alone. This fear drives us to cling to relationships, even unhealthy ones, and to avoid solitude at all costs. It stems from a deep-seated belief that our worth is dependent on external validation and connection. The thought of being left alone, physically or emotionally, can be terrifying. This fear is a manifestation of upadana, clinging to relationships and external support. Buddhist teachings on anicca, impermanence, remind us that all relationships, like all phenomena, are subject to change and eventual dissolution. While this may seem daunting, it also liberates us. By cultivating metta, loving-kindness, towards ourselves and developing inner resources, we realize that true security comes from within, not from external attachments. We learn to be our own best companion, finding solace and strength in solitude, and understanding that genuine connection arises from a place of wholeness, not neediness. 3. The fear of rejection, the fear of not being accepted. This fear keeps us from expressing our true selves, from pursuing our dreams, and from taking risks. We censor our opinions, hide our vulnerabilities, and conform to expectations, all to avoid the painful sting of disapproval. This fear is closely linked to the fear of inadequacy and the desire for external validation. It is fueled by tanha, craving, for acceptance and approval. Buddhist practice encourages right speech and right action, which means speaking and acting from a place of authenticity and integrity, regardless of external reactions. When we cultivate upekkha, equanimity, We learn to observe the opinions of others without being swayed by them. We understand that rejection is often a reflection of the other person's perceptions, not a judgment of our inherent worth. By embracing our unique path and cultivating inner acceptance, the fear of rejection loses its power, allowing us to live with courage and self-respect. 4. The fear of vulnerability, the fear of being hurt. This fear prevents us from forming deep, meaningful connections. We keep others at arm's length, fearing that if we reveal our true selves, we will be hurt, betrayed, or exploited. This fear often stems from past traumas or negative experiences. It is a protective mechanism, but one that ultimately isolates us. Buddhist teachings on karuna, compassion, and mudita, sympathetic joy, encourage us to open our hearts, not just to others, but to our own pain. When we acknowledge our own vulnerability with compassion, we create space for healing. We learn that true strength lies not in invulnerability, but in the courage to be open, even when it means risking pain. By practicing sati, mindfulness, of our emotions, we can observe fear without being consumed by it, allowing us to connect authentically and experience the profound joy that comes from genuine intimacy. 5. The fear of change, the fear of the unknown. This fear keeps us stuck in comfort zones, even when those zones are no longer serving us. We resist new experiences, new ideas, and new directions, preferring the familiar, even if it's painful, to the uncertainty of the unknown. This fear is a direct consequence of our resistance to anicca, impermanence. We crave stability and predictability, but life is inherently dynamic. Buddhist practice encourages us to embrace the fluidity of existence. By cultivating viriya, effort/energy, and samadhi, concentration, we develop the inner strength and focus to navigate change with resilience. We learn that the only constant is change, and that true security lies not in clinging to what is, but in our ability to adapt and grow. When we release our grip on the past and open ourselves to the present moment, the fear of change transforms into an exciting opportunity for growth and discovery. 6. The fear of success, the fear of responsibility/visibility. This might seem counterintuitive, but many people unconsciously fear success. It's not the success itself, but what comes with it. Increased responsibility, higher expectations, greater visibility, and the potential for judgment or envy from others. This fear can manifest as procrastination, self-sabotage, or a reluctance to fully commit to one's potential. This fear is often rooted in a subtle form of mana, conceit, the fear of being seen as too much or not enough once the spotlight is on. It also relates to the fear of rejection and the burden of expectation. Buddhist teachings on right livelihood and right effort encourage us to cultivate our talents and contribute positively to the world, without attachment to the outcomes or the opinions of others. By practicing upekkha, equanimity, towards both praise and blame, we can step into our full potential with courage and humility, understanding that our true worth is not defined by external achievements or public perception. 7. The fear of being seen, the fear of true authenticity. This is perhaps the deepest and most pervasive silent fear. It's the fear that if we truly reveal our authentic selves, our quirks, our flaws, our deepest desires, our raw emotions, we will be judged, misunderstood, or ultimately unloved. This fear leads us to construct elaborate personas, to live behind masks, and to avoid genuine intimacy. It is the ultimate manifestation of ignorance, avijja, about our true nature, and the clinging to a fabricated self. Buddhist teachings on anatta, non-self, and sunyata, emptiness, invite us to dismantle these false constructs. When we realize that there is no fixed, inherent self to protect or hide, the fear of being seen dissolves. We learn to embrace our fluidity, our interconnectedness, and our inherent perfection just as we are. By practicing sati, mindfulness, and vipassana, insight meditation, we can observe the layers of conditioning and fear, gradually peeling them away to reveal the radiant, compassionate being beneath. This is the ultimate liberation, the freedom to simply be, fully and authentically, without fear. These 7 silent fears, though often subtle, exert immense control over our lives, keeping us from our true potential and genuine happiness. But by bringing them into the light of awareness, by understanding their roots in attachment and ignorance, and by applying the timeless wisdom of Buddhist principles, we can begin to loosen their grip. This journey is not about eradicating fear, but about transforming our relationship with it. It's about cultivating courage, compassion, and wisdom, allowing us to navigate life's challenges with an unshakable inner peace. When we face these fears, we don't just become fearless, we become free. We unlock a life of authenticity, connection, and profound well-being, no longer controlled by the whispers of anxiety, but guided by the clarity of our awakened heart. Which of these silent fears resonates most deeply with you today? And what is one small step you can take to bring it into the light, starting now? If this exploration has resonated with you, please consider subscribing to the Noble Wisdom Path. Share this video with someone who might benefit from this perspective, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Together, let's walk the path towards inner peace and true freedom.